KDJ's weekly picks on game day one are brought to you by Veolia and White Plains Hospital.
Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of our Week 9 picks for the postseason, getting ready for the Section 1 semifinals. Getting ready for the championships are next weekend at Mamaroneck High School. Of course, you can watch those games on NBC Sports Engine Play. Our new partners with Local Live, very excited about that. Who's going to get there? Let's find out right now. Starting with Class A, our first matchup on Friday night is Somers hosting Harrison in a rematch of last year's championship game. We saw the Tuskers, what they did to Harrison a few weeks back, completely dominating them and doing so in resounding fashion. 40-3 victory. You know, I got to give Harrison a lot of credit. This is a team that's dealt with a lot of injuries this season. Getting to this point, to get to the semifinals after what they've gone through, it says a lot about them. A 5-3 record. Last week, their win over Mamaroneck was pretty impressive. Just 14-7, did it with defense. Defense has been the calling card for the Huskies all season long. Artin Beledimaj, the talent around him with Drew Haynes and all the players they have on defense, they've been really good. Can they stop Somers? It's a tall order, especially when you look at the Tuskers. Just think about what the Tuskers have done this season with a new quarterback, putting Dean Palazzolo. Obviously, Dean Palazzolo was All-State last year, but now him as the focal point. Mason Kelly coming back and just being this durable back. This trio is as good as it gets. And to carry on what Somers has done, 52-2 as a program the last 5 seasons, 51-1 in New York State. There are 2 losses the last 2 years, by the way. They lost in the state championship in the last second on going for 2 to try and go for a win in the state final against a Catholic school. And then their other loss was in week 0 last year, losing on a Hail Mary that should never have counted. So this team, this program for Somers is on an absolute tear. They're not getting denied of a berth in the championship. I think they go win this game. They beat Harrison. I'm going to say 35-14 at home Friday night. They are going back to the Section 1 championship. Who are they going to play? The winner of Rye and Yorktown, which is also on Friday night at Rye, a game you can watch on Local Live. So it's a Somers game. The Rye-Yorktown game is interesting. Now, they've met 3 weeks ago, and Rye, back and forth game, close game into the fourth quarter. They pull away 34-21 win, as you said, 3 weeks ago. That was without Chris Iliano, the star running back for Rye, who's now returned, came back against Harrison, changes the whole team, just all the options they have on offense, him being in the middle on offense and defense, really just makes his Rye team complete, and I don't know if we're going to see a repeat of the game a couple weeks ago. Now, Caden Gonzalez is one of those guys, right? The quarterback of Yorktown. He's one of those players who's going to rise to the occasion. We've seen him do it so often in different sports, basketball and football. And in the postseason last week, 6 total touchdowns, threw for 5, ran for 1 against Eastchester in that decisive win to get back to where they want to be, which is playing against the big programs. They're going to have to beat Rye, beat Somers. I think Rye wins this game 31-21. I don't think the Garnets get beat here, but I think it's going to be one of those games, maybe close at halftime. Garnets pull away in the second half, and that will be also the career record for Dino Gar, Rye coach, going to set the Section 1 record, break Tony DiMattio's record for the most wins all time in the section. Class AA. This is where things are going to get really interesting. Carmel on the road, 3-time champions against North Rockland. Now, I watched the game a few weeks ago, about a month and a half ago now, when they lost at North Rockland in the regular season. And in that game, they had a hard time really slowing down Jaquan Johnson. I just know, obviously, Jaquan Johnson being one of the best running backs in the section, 37-27 win for North Rockland. The thing, though, about that game, when I look back on it, is that was the game when Tristan Werlau, the all-state running back for Carmel, got hurt. And there was definitely an emotional letdown for a little bit in that game, losing the star player. And that's really when North Rockland kind of capitalized. They took the lead. Carmel made their run to get back into the game, but just couldn't pull it off. Brian McGrory has been on an absolute tear. He's almost at 2,000 passing yards for the season for the Rams. I don't know if they can go on the road and beat North Rockland again in Rockland County. It's going to be very difficult to do that, but I think Carmel's going to give them a challenge. 24-17 win, giving North Rockland to move on to the section championship, which I predicted in the preseason. The team I predicted in the play in the championship is in our next game, our final game of the semifinal weekend in Class AA. Mamaroneck taking on Scarsdale. This is really the most intriguing game of the entire year. So Mamaroneck goes into the season. Back in we played week 1 against Scarsdale, and you thought, okay, they should have no problem with the Scarsdale team. We all didn't know, or at least I didn't personally know, how good Scarsdale was going to be. I know they were going to be a solid team. I didn't think they were going to be the clear number 1 team in Class AA this season like they've been. they go and they beat Mamaroneck in week 1, and they've been on a tear ever since. Obviously, losing to North Rockland the way they did about a month ago. And Scarsdale's been so impressive. I'm going to tell you, I've watched Scarsdale several times on Local Live. I don't think of all the 26 years I've been doing this that I've seen a Scarsdale team that's been able to kind of line up and out physical teams and just be tougher, stronger on both sides of the football. And I give the Raiders a lot of credit. And now here they are to play for a championship. The last 3 weeks, by the way, for Scarsdale, they've beaten Carmel, Arlington, and Austin. 3 playoff teams. Austin was obviously a playoff game. They beat them by a combined 70 points. For Scarsdale to do that to Carmel, Arlington, and Austin, it's really impressive. So this Scarsdale team comes in here as a favorite. The last team, though, they probably wanted to face with the season on the line was Mamaroneck. And for a variety of reasons. First of all, obviously, they beat them once already, and they beat them handily, 21-10, the first game of the season. And they didn't want to face them for that reason. Obviously, a lot of revenge. The rivalry is a huge thing. But also from an X's and O's standpoint, Scarsdale runs a triple option. And obviously, very few teams do. If any other teams do in this section, I'm not really sure they do. The one team that has seen the triple option from Scarsdale more than any other team in Section 1 over the last 10 seasons is Mamaroneck, their rival. And they know how to stop it. And they know how to line up. And they know how to... It's very disciplined defense. You need to trust your keys. You need players who are going to understand the fakes on lines of scrimmage. And Scarsdale does it very well. This is the best triple option team I've seen Scarsdale have in all the time I've been doing this. This is very dangerous territory for Scarsdale. As I said, this is the team they didn't want to face. I'm going to pick Scarsdale to win, but it would not shock me if Mamaroneck pulled off this upset. I think this is a very scary game. I think if Scarsdale wins this game, I think they do beat North Rockland for the championship. We'll talk about that next week. But I do think that they need to clear this hurdle, and the season that they've had would be disappointing if they didn't beat Mamaroneck. I think Scarsdale wins. I'm going to take them to win 24-21 in a tight game at Scarsdale. The home field advantage will just be what they need to get over the hump and play for a championship. So I like Scarsdale Rye for the championship in Class A next weekend. And I also think that it'll be North Rockland and Scarsdale, the rematch. They had a very dramatic, great game a few weeks back in Class AA. Those are my predictions. Want to hear yours? Hit me up on Twitter, Instagram. Find me. You know where to find me. Yell at me as I walk by you at a game. I'm used to that as well. We'll see you soon.